You are up for re-election, and as you mentioned, the election is early June, although voting is starting soon. It's a very crowded field for mayor. I believe there are 14 candidates. Talk to us about your campaign and what the most important issues for you are.
Oh, yes, the same as they were when I ran 4 years ago. Homelessness is number one, crime, public safety number two, and basic quality of life. Street lights, streets, trash, the basics. And I think when I came into office, if you remember, that was really 2023. I was sworn in December of 2022. We were still getting over COVID. So the city had been asleep for a few years. And so I inherited problems that had been there for decades, but I think they were accentuated because of the time with COVID. And so, there is, and this is the mood of the electorate is bad all over the country. And it is certainly bad here within our state and within our city. So I do have a challenge. I feel confident, though, that my ability over many, many, many years to build coalitions is still very, very much there. And that I will be able to bring this across the finish line.
I couldn't help but notice that you seem to be a particular target of the right-wing media. The New York Post seems to cover you, which is a lot, which seems unusual since they're 3,000 miles away. But I've seen a lot of attacks against you about the aftermath of the fires, homelessness, and crime. Why do you think that you have engendered so much hostility in the right-wing press?
Well, first of all, I do think the attention from the New York Post is because they're starting the California Post. And so it's a preview. They have been advertising the California Post with my picture on the front of it that basically says, I think implied is we're coming for you, Karen. It says something slightly different, but that's the implication. And the attacks from the right wing have been relentless. But remember now, when the year started last year, we had the fires, and that was absolutely horrific. By the time I was back in the country, all of the social media was DEI mayor. And then Trump comes in 2 weeks later, and his first attack is quote unquote DEI. And you saw African Americans, like every top African American was summarily fired. And so, I don't disconnect all of these attacks from that. They might have started earlier, but they became relentless during that time. And they have continued with bots and the whole 9 yards. But, again, this is a very, very blue city.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, talk with us about the outsized attention that the Trump administration has paid to people of color who have positions of power and the relentless attacks online about DEI. And how does that feel as somebody who's incredibly accomplished as a member of Congress, as the mayor of one of the largest cities in the country, where everything gets reduced to this racist rhetoric?
Well, it doesn't feel good, and it's actually very dangerous. And so just in terms of threats and security and all of that. But, I made a decision as a child that I was going to spend my life fighting for social, racial, and economic justice. So this has been a lifetime of work, and I have gone through periods like this before. Mm-hmm. So I am always steeled by those who came before me, who suffered in, indescribable ways. And my commitment and determination to see this through, the reasons why I ran was because, and if you don't mind, I was having flashbacks that the homeless crisis had reached a tipping point, and we were going to go through another period of criminalization like we did in the early 90s. I left the medical field. I left a full-time faculty position at a medical school to go to the heart of the epidemic of violence. We had 1,000 homicides that year, and started an organization to fight what would later be called mass incarceration. I saw it develop, and I fought like heck. Obviously, we did not win, and it's been work I've been doing all my life. But at different points in time, I have gone through threats and danger, not to quite this magnitude.
We've seen that affordability has been an issue across the country and in special elections. Obviously, LA is a very expensive place to live, and we've seen gas prices rising with Trump's war in Iran. Food prices are rising as well as a huge crisis in affordable housing. How are these issues playing out in your race for mayor, and what are you hearing from your constituents?
Well, affordability is the number one issue. It's the number one issue I ran on, and it's the number one issue I've been focused on. Now, my focus immediately has been on the most extreme manifestation of it, which is 40 some thousand people sleeping on our streets. So, in addition to putting the city in a state of emergency over that, I also did an emergency directive fast tracking the building of housing. We have 40,000 units that are going through the process now. Several thousand of those units are under construction right now. We're looking at all sorts of ways to do housing, whether it's adaptive reuse, a lot of different ways to get people housed. That is the number one driver for the lack of affordability. Paying attention to the wages of city employees that are under my jurisdiction, to me, are some of the most important ways to address affordability. Obviously, I can't manage the macro issues, the uncertainty and instability of the administration. Will we have tariffs? Won't we have tariffs? Will this war impact what we're doing? So all of those macro issues I obviously can't impact, but the ones that for example, our struggling entertainment industry. Those are middle class jobs. When you say the entertainment industry, people think of A-list celebrities. I think of the union workers that do the work that is a key part of our workforce. I think of all of the businesses, the ancillary business, the florist, the cleaner, all of those people that their incomes are sustained by the entertainment industry. So focusing on bolstering industries like that has been a key part of my agenda around affordability, as well as getting people who have been blocked from the workforce in the workforce, blocked because of the policies of the 90s, criminalization.